Hello, welcome to our lecture on cladograms and dichotomous keys. So this is a picture of a cladogram, and a cladogram depicts the evolutionary relationships or phylogeny among groups by comparing characteristics. You will find these notes on page 6 of your evolution notes. Sorry, Brill came in. Okay, so you will find these on your notes, page 6 of the evolution notes, okay? There's just a few things to fill in there for you. So this is a cladogram. Oh, I'm going to move it down just a little so you can see down below how it includes down here vertebrae. So a cladogram always has lines, and you will see names of organisms along the top line, and then you will see different traits or characteristics along another line, okay? And so here, by just looking at this, this tells us that everything beyond this trait, this vertebrate trait, everything beyond has a vertebrate. So it means they have a spine, okay? Now, the next trait, we have bony skeleton. So everything beyond this point has bony skeletons. So you can see this excludes the sharks, okay? It's because sharks have a skeleton made of cartilage, okay? So again, we come up here, forelimbs. That now excludes the ray-finned fishes, the true bony fishes. Up here, amniotic egg. So that's an egg sac with yolk, some good stuff that's going to help to provide nutrition for it, okay? And if you think of humans, amniotic fluid, right, around the fetus, inside the womb. So humans have amniotic eggs. So everything beyond that has an amniotic egg. That excludes now the amphibians. And then here we have a split this way, which splits again. So this is where we have hair. So these would be up here. So primates and rodents all have hair. This way, they don't, but they have something else. They have eggs with shells, okay? So if these had eggs with shells, they would have been past this point, and then hair would have excluded them more, included them more in the next round. But here we have a unique split, okay, where we have two different characteristics coming off. And so this actually splits, our mammals up this way. This split our amphibians off, the fish off here, and then up here, the crocodiles and birds with the eggs with shells, okay? Each point here where the lines meet, this is considered a point of a common ancestor. So at this point right here, that's the last point. All of these had something in common, okay? That hypothetical common ancestor. Here would be the point where everything past that point has a common ancestor. And you might see a cladogram where these are numbered like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay? Or you might see A, B, C, D, E, F, where those lines meet. And the question might be, where was the last common ancestor for crocodiles and amphibians? So here's the crocodiles. We follow the line back to the amphibian line here. So that would be 1, 2, 3, or C, okay, if it had a C or a 3 there. Okay, so that would be considered the hypothetical common ancestor for them, okay? The next bit, so we're just gonna, you can read through this real quick. Again, the cladogram is a diagram used in cladistics, which shows relationships among organisms. It is not, however, a complete evolutionary tree. It doesn't show how ancestors are related to descendants or how much they have changed, but some evolutionary trees can be inferred from the cladogram. Again, you can go back to a least common ancestor. which is that hypothetical ancestor that could provide clues for the order of evolution and adaptations. So traditionally, such cladograms were generated largely on basis of morphological characteristics, so that things that you can actually see, physical characteristics. But now DNA and RNA sequencing can give us a lot more of that, of the phylogenetic, what's actually in those genes for those comparisons, okay? Here's another one here. So this one, if you would, how many animals on this list have lungs? All of them, right? Okay, how many animals have solid bones? Well, then we'd have to go here, grizzly bear, snowshoe hare, red fox, and European red squirrel. Those all have solid bones over on this side, okay? If the question was, what animal was more closely related to a European red squirrel, would that be a grizzly bear or a bald eagle? Going back, these have the closest, most common ancestor. So the grizzly bear is more closely related to that European red squirrel. Okay. That's it for cladograms. It's very simple. I just want to get you the idea of seeing one, being able to read it. If you have any, questions about what does it mean, right? And this is something you might see on like an ACT or a standardized testing like at the end of the year. So good to know and to be able to read. We're going to move on now to a dichotomous key, and that consists of a series of choices that leads the user to a correct name of a given item. So you are out in nature and you see a tree and you want to know what type of tree this is. Well, if you had the book or an app that you could read and watch, there's some apps where you can just take a picture of the leaf and it'll tell you what it is now. But old school ways is we'd go to a dichotomous key, usually a book, and then you'd see the difference, and they'd ask you two questions, and then you moved on to the next one to narrow it down, and then it'll finally tell you what tree you have. So a dichotomous key is a tool that allows the user to determine the identity of items in the natural world, such as trees, wildflowers, mammals, reptiles, rocks, and fish. Keys consist of a series of choices that will lead you to the correct item. Dichotomous means divided into two parts. So you always have two choices, and they are usually an opposite type choice. So it might say, has hair, no hair. It might say has big feet and has little feet, okay? So still more of an opposite. It won't say has eyes and then has webbed feet. Okay, so they always have to be related, those two choices. Okay, here is a very simplified visual dichotomous key. Okay, so at the very top, vertebrates. So these are all vertebrates, and which is interesting because the cladogram we saw invertebrates, but then you split them up into groupings by most common ancestor, like ancestor in the past. So here though, we're going to break them down and we're going to determine what kind of animal we have. So say you have a frog and you don't know you have a frog. Okay, you're like, what is this animal? So you go to the vertebrates and you say, okay, because you think it has a spine. It looks like it would have a spine. So I'm going to look at vertebrates. Does this animal have fur or no fur? It's has no fur, right? And then you ask the next question, does it have feathers or no feathers? It has no feathers. Next question, dry skin, moist skin. It has moist skin. And then the next scale is, does it have scales? It's a question, scales or no scales? Well, it has no scales, so you have an amphibian. A frog is an amphibian here, okay? So that's how you would follow along. Okay. So our next dichotomous key, here, let's look at this one for leaves. This is how you'll probably mostly see it, okay? So say you're out in nature and you pick up a leaf that looks like, okay, I moved my screen up there. So let's take this leaf down here, this H leaf, okay? So at the top, does it have needle leaves or no needle leaves? No needle leaves. So no needle leaves go to 3. Is it a simple leaf, a single leaf, or a compound leaves made of many different leaflets? This is a single leaf. So we're going to go to 4. Does it have a smooth edge or jagged edge? That's pretty jagged. We're going to call this a jagged edge. Go to 6. The leaf edge is small and thorny-like, or the leaf edge is large and thorny. So this looks like it's large and thorny, okay? So we have a holly. So this is the holly leaf, and if you think of Christmas, right, the holly leaves with Christmas, with little red berries, yeah, that's what it looks like. So you have a holly leaf here, which if it came off of a tree, then you would have a holly tree, right? Okay. Okay, that is it for the lecture part of this. Okay, so there is an assignment to go with this, and it is the, it's called the Dichotomous Key assignment. I'll be putting it on Canvas right along with this lecture. Go back up and you can just look through it. It's a PDF, and so you can look through it and you could write the answers on a sheet of paper, or you can write the answers or type the answers into just a plain document, and then just email me those answers when you're done, okay? When it comes to making your own dichotomous key, the trick to remember is to always use those opposites and then say where to go to next, okay? So just follow the example of the earlier ones that you see in that assignment, and you'll be just fine. If you've got any questions, ask me. Here in class, we had people even work in groups to do it. So if you've got somebody that you know is an online or at home, you can work in a group if you want on it. Let me know you do work in a group so that I don't think you just cheated and somebody did it and then passed it all around to everybody to use the same one, because you should come up with your own different traits. They're not all going to be the same, okay? And you should be able to do it in five steps. It might take you 6 depending on how many traits you split it up into, but you can definitely do it in 5 steps. So again, Google Meets, Zoology, Mondays at 12:45, Wednesdays at 1:45. If you've got any questions, that's a great place to go. And if you want answers sooner, send me an email. I'm here for you. Okay, keep going on these notes. Bye, guys. Love ya.